All right, let's do partnerships and let's see how we feel. And I want to try to definitely quit by like the 45 at the latest. All right, we have. Let me give you a couple different metaphors here. There's a couple different stickers on our helmets, or there's a couple different patches on our jacket, or whatever you want to talk about. The first one is the Acts 29 network, and I'm going to stand up now because I was kind of tired of sitting. What is Acts 29 about? I'll just give it to you in a nutshell. Basically, everything I've been talking about, that they're trying to bring together biblical faithfulness and cultural engagement. And sadly, that doesn't happen a lot. And so a word that I would use, let's switch colors, that to kind of describe Acts 29 is the word tension. That we're trying to hold, Bible faithfulness, gospel centrality in this hand with radical mission and going to the culture in this hand. And all it is it's the same thing. It's overseas missions done here in America. That's all it is. That if you go to any country overseas, let's pick an easy one, China. It's a hard country to minister in, but it's an easy example. In order to be a good missionary there, you need to like Chinese food. You need to learn to speak Chinese. You need to remember that the government is against you, so everything you're going to have to do is going to have to be kind of underground. And you seek to incarnate the gospel into that culture in such a way that the Chinese natives can understand it, embrace it, and then they can take the ministry from you and propagate it among their people. That's exactly the same principle here that we're doing. That's called the principle of contextualization. That basically all we're doing through Acts 29 is we're trying to say, how can we contextualize the gospel? And it's now not just North America, it's now around the world. Like they just did a boot camp in like Thailand or something where we're training pastors over there to plant Thai churches among Thai people and all that. But they go into a culture and they say, what does this culture need? And what they need is the Bible and the gospel and Jesus and that whole package. But how do we give it to them in a way that they can understand it? That's what, like our music is strategic. Like the way I dress is strategic. Like the way we approach ministry is strategic. Because we want to say, what do the East End natives need? How can we take this that doesn't change and speak it into this that changes all the time to change them? How can we contextualize this gospel, hold these things in tension, and make it where they can understand it? Everything we do, sometimes we do it better than others, but everything we do, we think of it through that framework. That's kind of what Acts 29 is. It's a network of pastors from around the nation, around the world, whose dream, this is off their website, but I'm distilling for you what we're talking about here. To help qualified leaders called by God to plant new churches and replant declining churches. So there's a movement of us that like we start from zero and go from there, and also guys that go into declining churches and help kind of replant them. And here's what we're talking about here. Seek to influence and shape the church planting culture, which that's even bigger than the local church, through both rock-solid theology and contextualizing the gospel. And the vision here is to have one of the best church planter training programs in the world, which I've been through multiple of those, and they do. And the goal is to plant 1,000 new gospel-living churches within the next 20 years. And it's happening. Like, there's a guy who is a president of our network named Mark Driscoll, who I'm getting to know through some different conversations, who's like widely published now. He's selling a ton of books. He's growing in influence among all different kinds of circles. Like the mega church circle respects him, the small church circle respects him. It's really interesting what God's doing. And I think Acts 29 is going to continue to grow in influence and effectiveness in the years to come. That's the first patch on our flag. The second patch on our flag is called the Southern Baptist Convention. And it's so funny to say that because people go, what? I didn't know you were a Southern Baptist church. Well, cat's out of the bag. And what does it mean to be Southern Baptist? It means that we are a part of the largest association of Christian churches in America. That's 48,000 churches, 16 million people. That's more than Episcopal, Methodist, Lutheran, and Presbyterians combined, which we don't say that to say, look at us, we're better than them, but to just say it's a big movement. This is what people don't know, though. It's the most diverse group of churches that we have. There's 80 different language churches just here in the U.S. alone. This building that we're standing in right now is a good example. This is also a Southern Baptist church. There is a Anglo congregation that meets here up in the sanctuary on Sunday morning, and there is a Korean church that I think meets in this very room on Sunday morning. So in this particular Southern Baptist church, you have two congregations using the same space at the same time, one of which speaks Korean, and the others are Anglos that speak English. Here's the other thing. Southern Baptists always get a bad rap in the press. Some of it is deserved, and some of it's not. But here's the way to think about Southern Baptists. The way I like to think about it is, it's like that uncle that everybody has. That at Christmas, he's going to drink too much eggnog, or he's going to have one too many, whatever they drink at your house, and he's going to start telling dirty jokes to the kids, or he's going to take his shirt off or say something crazy or whatever. It's always the same thing, and that's kind of how Southern Baptists are. Now, they certainly wouldn't have too much to drink, because most Southern Baptists don't have anything to drink. We'll talk about that later. There's a little distinctive for that in our church. We will have both drinkers and non-drinkers, and that's fine. But we can get into the whole alcohol conversation later. But among Southern Baptists, the way it works is when they have their convention. Basically, churches send messengers, and they all go to this thing, and anybody can propose anything they want at the Southern Baptist Convention. And so every once in a while, you'll get here's the thing though. CNN only picks up the crazy screwball stuff. And so you'll get some guy that makes a resolution that says all Christians everywhere have a moral obligation to take all their children out of public schools. And so by the time it gets to the media, it gets purveyed as if, well, that's what all Southern Baptists believe. But that's not what all Southern Baptists believe. In fact, it's just this one guy who, because everybody gets a voice, he got his thing, and because they want news, they put it on TV and broadcast it. So, that's why we don't broadcast that we're Southern Baptists. It's not because we're ashamed of it. It's because we're committed to contextualizing the gospel. And I don't want to put any additional barriers between the gospel and people coming to it. And so we don't say Crossing Baptist Church because that's a barrier. And people would not give us the time of day sometimes, and I've run into plenty of it, if they knew straight up front that we were Baptist. So that's why we don't put it out there. But being Baptist is great, and here's why. These reasons. Number one, they believe what we believe about the Bible. It's the real deal. It's what churches always believe throughout history. They also believe in the autonomy of the local church. That means that we are voluntarily networked with local Baptist churches, state Baptist churches, and then Baptist churches around the world. However, nobody's telling us what to do. Nobody said, you got to do this, you can't do that service over there, you can't do this, blah, blah. There is no, popish type that comes in and, says anything and tries to impose what I would see as an unbiblical authority upon the local church. And that's, at the core of what it means to be Baptist. That everything we do is a voluntary network. And just to be honest with you, if for some reason, I don't think this is going to happen, but if for some reason the Southern Baptists came up with some crazy view, and they were we don't believe the Bible anymore, and we believe that all this sin is okay, and that kind of stuff. You've seen this in other denominations. You'd have to make your own decision, but I would counsel you that you should pull out from the Southern Baptist Convention. However, I don't think that's going to happen. In fact, I think, though I have a lot of concerns about where some of the Southern Baptist life is, especially in regard to this issue, that I'm afraid they're not doing enough of this. They are probably one of the more, if not the most faithful, large movement of churches that I've seen. I don't spend a lot of time reading and thinking about denominational life, but it's a good network to be a part of. Next thing they believe is the priesthood of the believer, that you don't have to have me talk to God, totally, especially since I'm not a priest, it's kind of would be a problem. We believe in the priesthood of the believer. Next thing they believe in giving, that we are part of something, and part of that 15% that we are going to give away goes to something called the cooperative program, which is, and this is correct, the single greatest unified missionary effort in the entire world. That there's missionaries literally around the world right now because of the money that you and I give to the church. A part of that goes straight out the door to them. They also believe that what we believe about baptism by immersion, that it's not salvific, again, there's that big word, but it's very important, and it's the best symbol we have to communicate. You know, we were dead in our sins, and now we're raised to walk in the life of Christ. They're big about that. We agree. And they really believe in sharing the good news of Jesus, not just in giving a cup of cold water in Jesus' name, but they do that and they tell about Jesus. In a lot of missions organizations, they'll give the water or they'll tell about Jesus, but never the twain shall meet. And so we don't want to do that. We think you give water and you talk about Jesus. And so they're about that. So it's good. That's why we want to be a part of it. So let's answer the affiliation question. Why? Why not just be independent? Well, we are. And this is if you want a phrase that pays, here it is. We can accomplish more together than we can separately. By working with the SBC, we participate in the largest missionary effort in the world, both in North America and around the world. And by working with Acts 29, we have direct access to some of the best church planters and their resources in North America. And both of these are a good fit for Crossing. That's where we're at. So let's talk about that, and then we'll talk about mission. Questions?
I was kind of curious.
Go ahead. That makes me nervous.
Wait till you hear the question. What is it? Just the language barrier, Dustin, about the Koreans here and the Anglos in the same building, the same day, but yet they're separate services? Yeah, that's disturbing to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not even sure. If I said that, I may have spoken out of turn. I'm not sure that they are Korean only speaking. Mm-hmm. But I do know that most of the time when it's advertised as like this kind of church, like a Korean church, whatever, I think it's typical that they are like Korean only. Yeah. I don't know. I definitely know it's not like a racist thing. I wouldn't think so. Because I know this pastor and I know what he's about, and they would be very much like, let's worship together. I bet you, and this is my hope, I bet it's a contextualization issue, that they're trying to reach Koreans who don't want to be a part of an Anglo church. And so they're trying to reach them and like where they're at with the hope of maybe moving them toward, unifying someday. That's what I hope it would. That's just their effort to meet them where they are. But I don't know. I just know that they meet here. So.
We used to live across the street from a Korean Baptist church that was only strictly Koreans. I don't know. Some people have pointed out to me that Sunday's the most segregated day of the week, but which is weird.
It is insane. Mm-hmm. Very astute.
Kind of two questions. Do we give directly to the cooperative program, or do we designate funds to go to like a seminary, blah, blah, blah?
At this point, we're just giving directly. Because the agreement that I have with the KBC to get the startup money that we got to start the church, is 5% has to go to the cooperative program, I think undesignated. So the way it shakes out, and by the way, this budget has to get approved, so y'all are getting the sales pitch, I hope you approve it. The way it's set up right now is we give 5% to the co-op, and that includes like missionaries, a little bit to the seminaries, the state convention, blah, blah, blah. Like this goes to a lot of different places, but that's the global missionary effort. And then we do 4% for what we call missions, which it's all used outside the church. But this could be our own church plants. It could be like us taking a mission trip and helping people that didn't raise all their money. We give 1% to the local Baptist, which is called the LRBA, which helps churches, probably even like this Korean church, get started here in the city. And then, what else we got, Dan? Numbers are different now. 2% to benevolence, which is like, we can use this in-house, but it's not, it's like used to help people out, like their house burned down, or whatever, or like they need help with doctor bills. So it's not necessarily like ministry money, it's not paying rent on Sunday. And then that's, what is that, 12%? 10, 12? And then the next 3% is going to go, what did we say? Do you remember?
1% goes to special offerings like Lottie Moon and Annie Armstrong.
The other thing about the Baptists is they have 2 patron saints, which is a joke, by the way. Annie Armstrong, who was a woman who was just a total amazing North American missionary. Like that money goes 100%. Like there's no administrative cost or anything. That goes straight to missionaries that are on the field in North America, starting churches like Crossing. Like part of my salary when we started the church came directly from this Annie Armstrong offering. And then Lottie Moon is the foreign missions version. That goes straight to missionaries overseas. And so, yeah, and then the other 2% will be distributed. However, now we will always announce these offerings for us to give over and above our tithes and offerings. But because we want to show like we're more committed to this than we have been in the past, we're going to take some year round, so there's always some growing. And then when we give money on top of it, there's even more to send out. And then this will probably go to like, because we want to be able to give more to James in New Orleans, and then we want to be able to give more to our next church plant next year. That's where that extra 2%. So the total is, I'm going to have to learn to ride on the whiteboard, by the way, is 15%.
So none of that goes to Acts 29 then?
The way Acts 29 works is it's all decentralized. There's no, like this goes to an office and gets distributed. Acts 29 doesn't have an office. It's all interpersonal relationships. And so what we'll do, like we funded Acts 29 events out of this. We will fund Acts 29 churches out of this and this. So yeah, it's more decentralized. And it's also regional now. Southern Baptist is like national global, but Daniel and I and a couple other pastors are like regional. Daniel's like the regional director, and Daniel at Sojourn, Daniel's a good friend of mine. He's pastor. That's the way it works. It's all relational now.